Welcome along, everybody, to GRS F2 here today in the streets of Monaco. Midnight qualifying and race for us today. So we have a lot of excitement in store for 13 drivers today. A little light on the attendance, but that is okay. We'll bring up all the fun stuff here. And everyone always says that Monaco is one in qualifying, as it is essentially impossible to make an overtake for the most part. So here we go, waiting for some drivers to come out of the pit lane. Lestauskas is out, heading up the hill into the right-hander. Let's see. Gotta get my corner names memorized here. We got Casino, Mirabeau, the Grand Hotel hairpin. But anyway, very difficult to get a car around this hairpin. The F-123 car is so big and heavy. Makes it very difficult. Feel like they're going to be kind of idling down the hairpin, as you do. Here we go, into the tunnel. Pretty much never seen this track in a couple of years personally, because no one ever races on it. Here we go. We got a couple of drivers trickling their way out as Lestauskas is preparing the tires. So here we go then. First flying lap of the day, trying to get a good exit out of 18 and 19 that we're coming through now. As the barrier gets much closer to the driver on the left, down the pit straight and into Saint-Devant. Absolutely killing that curb on the inside, pretty much flat, and then throttle all the way flat up the hill through Beau Rivage up into Massenet we're into now, and then into the right-hander of Casino. Is there a bump on the left-hand side? Yes, there is still. Then into the two hairpins. Mirabeau feeds into the Grand Hotel hairpin. And a little difficult to make an apex there as Lestauskas tries to keep it to the inside. Heading out of Portier and into the tunnel. Flat to the floor all the way through. And then downhill braking into the Nouvelle chicane. Very difficult to get right, easy to get wrong. Clobbers the curb on the inside there as well, but doesn't unsettle his Williams too much. As we head into Tabac. And then we get the nice swimming pool chicanes. First one nice and open, second one tightens up quite a bit. And then into Rascasse and into the final couple of corners. We are rounding now. First flying lap of the day. What is it going to be for Vilius Lestauskas as he crosses the line? It's a 1:13.1. Right behind him is the Alfa Romeo of Lucas Rudd, who is on an invalid lap. Nope, it's Caleb White starting a lap. How about anyone else on a flyer right now? Tuan is. We'll pick up Tuan as he heads through the Nouvelle chicane. High ride heights and soft suspensions, I'm sure, playing their part for all of the cars getting over the curve on the right of the chicane. And look at that, completely flat through the first swimming pool section there. Rear gets away from Tuan as he clobbers the curve on the inside, but manages to keep his Alpine pointed the right direction. Feeds it through the final corner, and down the pit straight we go to cross the line for Tuan, and is up to a 1:11.8, so that's a good 2 seconds faster than Lestauskas. Who else is on a lap right now? Bagcali is about to finish up his lap. We'll hop on board with him real quick. For Alpha Tauri, that is a Mercedes of Cullen up into P2, and Bagcali up into P1 with a 1:11.6, so another couple of tenths faster than Tuan. Who can we pick up? Swanwick Moore heading through the tunnel section now. And that Alfa Romeo is on an invalid lap, so we'll keep it on with Moore as he cuts the chicane, gets a little bit too deep in the downhill braking zone heading into the Nouvelle chicane, and invalidates his lap. Who else can we pick up here? How about Neidert? About to be heading through the tunnel now. Getting very, very close to the barrier on the left, then almost over excuse me, almost over track limits on the right. That's a very, very good line from Jan as he feeds it through the swimming pool section. Nice and easy. Heading into Raskas, pretty wide of the apex on the wall there. Managed, I think he just hit the signboard out of the pit attendant's hand. Niter jumps it up into P1 for just a moment as back alley behind him set a better lap. 1:10.9 now is our P1 position. That's a good 0.3 faster than Niter in P2. So a good spread of lap times already as we can pick up Zadrazil, who is shaking his way out of the swimming pool chicane. Down the pit straight we go. P2 for him, a 1:11.1. Still 0.2 off of back alley's time. Caleb White then crosses the line to make it P2 for himself. 1:11.1, just 0.03 of a second faster than Zadrazil. And then we have, let's see, Mercedes on an in-lap. Nope, on another flyer, it looks like. Doing well, taking plenty of curve there. Joe Calvi for pole, easy. Well, we will have to see. We'll cut to him as soon as the Mercedes is done with the lap right here. Into the pit lane we go. On board with Joe Calvi then, heading up the hill. Absolutely flat through those little twisty bends up the hill. Through Massenet and the casino corner. Heading down into Mirabeau, the downhill right-hand hairpin. Looks to be taking a nice line there. Yeah, great league intro, Monaco Midnight. Yeah, that's a wonderful debut race there for the Mercedes. Here we go then, watching Joe Calvi heading through the tunnel. Out of Portier into the Nouvelle chicane. Braking just before the 100-meter board on the right. Through the first swimming pool, and are both of these the swimming? One of them is the swimming pool chicane, right? I'm getting that wrong. I'm calling them both the swimming pool. Rajuel jumps it up into P1 with a 1:10.8. Joe Calvi has been predicted for pole and crosses the line now for a 1:10.4. So that is a very good time. So maybe Spanswick is right about that. Calvi jumps it up into P1 by almost 0.4 of a second. I think it's all this one. Yeah, okay. That's what my track map is saying here. Alright. Who can we find? Bakalik is on an invalid lap. Is he going to be going again? Portier is 2 corners. Is it? Oh, Bakalik just drifted himself into the pit lane. Oh. No, Portier is just turn 8, it says. Who knows? Who knows? Who can we find? Let's see. Rajuel is on an in-lap, right? No? I'm not picking these up very well. Okay, there we go. Rajuel was on an in-lap. Who is next? Lucas Rudd. Is Calvi on an in-lap? I don't even know anymore. Everyone's got such full battery. That's not what I'm using to see. Both rights are Portier. Okay, that makes sense. It is pretty much just one kind of constant flowy corner. That makes sense. Is Calvi going to be going at it again? Yes, he is. Current provisional pole sitter looking to improve. Battery on and DRS open once again for Calvi as he heads into Saint-Devote there. Using all of the curb there on the right. Just about over track limits. We'll keep it off board. Why not? Up Beau Rivage through Massenet into Casino. You know how it goes. Into Mirabeau, which feeds into the Grand Hotel hairpin. There we go. Keeping it all the way to the right. As Tuan jumps it up into P1 by 0.2 of a second. Yep. A 1:10.2 from him. So times are dropping. They're starting to get a little closer together as drivers are getting the feel for it. Was that just a little wiggle from the McLaren that I saw heading through the tunnel? Maybe just getting himself over to the racing line as an AlphaTauri gets out of the way. Into the flat swimming pool chicane we go, and into the not flat swimming pool chicane we go afterwards. Did he just maybe tap the wall on driver's right? If he didn't, he was very, very close indeed. And he rounds the final corner. Plenty of grip on these cars, as they're completely laden with downforce. Up to the top once again, just a hundredth of a second faster than Tuan. Up into P1 with a 1:10.273. New time to beat for our drivers. Tuan, I believe, on an in-lap. Bad Cali will pick him up in the AlphaTauri. Heading into Mirabeau. Not very often you see a driver using first gear, but I think even the non-traction control users are going to be dropping it down to first into the hairpin. I don't know, I haven't done my practice yet, so maybe that's something I should do before I commentate, so I know what the racing lines are, but here we are. We're having fun. Into the Nouvelle chicane. Goes Mehmet Bagkali. No one's really clobbered the wall on the inside, though, which is good to see. Ooh, that was a wiggle from the rear, and Bagkali's down 0.3 of a second on his previous best. So it's not looking like a wonderful lap for him unless he can find some time through the final few corners. He's onto the pit straight he goes once again. What is it going to be for him? Nope, 0.5 down on his previous best. That's not ideal. Caleb Boy into the pit lane. Oh, Bad Cali. Someone just lost some carbon fibers. I was swapping through. Lestauskas on a slow lap, it looks like. We'll pick up Yan in the Aston Martin. Only 70% battery usage at this part of the lap, really. We'll stay on board with him. You have to use first Lowe's. That's what it's called, Lowe's hairpin, not Grand Hotel. Probably both. Lowe's is a hardware store. I don't know how they managed to get their name on a Monaco hairpin. I think that was not a fast lap for Yan. So who can we pick up? Rudd's on a lap. How about the Mercedes? Just crossing the line. A second of improvement up into P10 though. Can change his name every 3 years, yeah. That sounds about right, honestly. Alright, and then the AlphaTauri about to be crossing the line next by Cali, who does improve by 0.3 of a second. Ooh, and he just slid his way through Sandoval. But P4 he sits right now. And the Williams down here of Swanwick Moore. Always great to see how much speed they can carry through that first swimming pool chicane. Because no other car can really take it as fast as a Formula 1 car can with all the downforce. I think that is going to be an in-lap for the Mercedes. Out-lap for Haas, who has not set a lap yet. Neither has Hussein. He's got a couple people playing it very, very late. Here we go. George Haas rounds the final corner, just about loses his McLaren as he puts the power down onto the pit straight, so that's not a great start to the lap already. See how much time he can find throughout, not taking as much curb as other drivers, maybe just carrying a bit too much speed there. Oh yeah, clipping the wall on the left there, so Haas maybe not as warmed up as he would want to be, or just trying to come to grips with the track. As it looks like he might have backed off. Maybe not. No, we'll stay on him. We'll see how it goes. Through the tunnel we go. Downhill braking into the Nouvelle chicane. Nicely done. Everyone's taking this so nicely. I've yet to see someone really make a huge mistake into that chicane, which I was expecting to see. But here we are. And that's a big hit of the wall there on the right. Out of the swimming pool chicane. And that's a lock of the rears, maybe just a tap to the inside wall. And Hawes is back into the pit lane, not setting his lap. Swan is on a lap there. Sector 3 in an F1 car is nuts. Yeah. One time... Yeah, it's a long story, but I was in a settle course driving like a GT4 Porsche Cayman through Monaco. And I expected it to be like kind of easy, like, oh, it's still got some downforce and some grip because it's a racing car, but it's GT4, so it's a lot slower. No, I was pretty terrible, honestly. It's not a great time. But Swan is... Well, he backed out of that previous lap, and he's trying to improve once again. We'll keep an eye on the timing tower as well. We watch Twan head up the hill and through Massenet. Getting nice and close to the walls there, as the drivers have to do. Finding a slight improvement through Sector 1. Well, Sectors 2 and 3 is usually where the time is found. And there's a little slide heading out of the hairpin. And compromised his line through Portier into the tunnel, so that's going to lose him a bit of time. Oh, and there we go. I was just saying I haven't seen a huge impact in the Nouvelle chicane yet. And Twan, unfortunately, is the first one to find himself out, as he has lost his front left suspension through the Nouvelle chicane. Very unfortunate. You could tell he was pushing on very, very hard. And that is the sort of risk that a driver has to take. We've got the two Williamses going to be crossing the line next. Moore first as he heads through the swimming pool. I always think that the drivers are going to lose it as they go over the sausage curb. Oh, and he's really thrown the back out there. Trying to get the power down around Rascasse. But charges up to the line, finds 9/10 of an improvement, but only P10 for him. It's going to be the Haas ahead of Lastauskas. Lastauskas jumps himself up into P6. And then we have Jan Nader about to be starting a lap. How about the McLarens? They're starting a lap as well. Baklick is in the middle of his lap. Can we find anyone on a flyer? Bagcali is about to be starting his, because he just invalidated that previous one. Rajawel just started his lap. How about the other Mercedes here of Cullen? Trying to get around Rascasse. And the checkered flag is out. And that is a slight improvement for the Mercedes, but I don't think that was an improvement in positions. Swanwick Moore is going to be the next one across the line then. It looks like he's improving by almost 0.3 of a second, heading through the swimming pool section. Ooh, into Rascasse we go. Everyone's been starting to take that a little wide. So I wonder if they're just using up their tires a little bit too much, if there's marbles on the track. But Swanwick Moore lost all of the time that he was gaining on his previous best. And it's going to be Baklick across the line next. That is an improvement of over a second. Jumps himself up into P10. And it's going to be Jan in the Aston Martin across the line next. Currently P9. And improves by 0.3 up into P7. Calvi just crossed the line. I don't think that was a better lap than his previous best. So his is still the time to beat. Rajawel up into P4. Then it was the other AlphaTauri of Bad Cali getting himself up into P5 for just a moment, but then Calvi takes that spot from him, 110.4. And that will do it for qualifying. I think that was maybe the first time I was able to keep up with the final flurry of action as everyone was crossing the line at the same time. Good job, me. Good job. So here are your results then. Spenswick said that Calvi would be on pole. Unfortunately, he just got the wrong McLaren in mind. Wait, am I... Who did he say? Wait, hold on. Am I stupid? Who did he say? Joe Calvi for pole. Yes, okay. He was right about that. Good job, Spenswick. Joe Calvi on pole. I got my McLarens mixed up again. Bad job, me. Caleb White in second place, Tuan third, Rojuel fourth. Then is the other McLaren of George Haas in fifth. Baghelli 6th for AlphaTauri, Listowska 7th, Niter 8th, 9th for Rudd, and then Zadrazil 10th. It's a Haas 10 and 11 as Bakalik lines up in 11th, Swanwick Moore 12th, Cullen 13th in the Mercedes, and then Sam Hussein not setting a time. Rounds us out in P14. Now let's hope more than 5 cars finish the race. Yeah, you never really know. More than 5 did in F3, so no pressure. We got 7 in a wet F3, so we're good. Well, see, you're all forgetting about what was the cleanest tier last season, and it was F4 by a long shot. So, hey, higher tiers, maybe slightly higher egos, maybe slightly more risks. You never know. But who's going to be sending the heroics into Sandoval? Any any takers in chat? Who's going to be heading up that charge? As a commentator, I have to stay unbiased publicly, but certainly not privately. Well, it is good to see that it's going to be dry for the race. Just one more little wrench in the plans that's not there. Anyway, 4 lights on, 5 lights now, and we are racing in Monaco. Seems to be a pretty good start from Calvi in pole. Caleb White getting a lot of wheel spin, going to be coming under pressure from Tuan heading into turn 1. Tuan up into P2 now, side by side between Rajuel and Haas as they're heading up the hill. Haas having to duck in behind the Mercedes as they head into Massenet and Casino. Here we go. That was a great start from our pole sitter of Calvi. And then, yeah, plenty of wheel spin that we saw from the Alfa Romeo of Caleb White. That's Rudd getting past Rajuel side by side as we head into the hairpin. Zadrazil is going to be trying to keep that position, but the Alfa Romeo of Rudd is going to be keeping it up in the inside of Portier and going to be keeping it there as we head into the tunnel. Well, that was a nice overtake there, all things considered. Very nicely done from our drivers. Look for... Oh, my goodness. Take a look at the harbor. That's a shot right there. That's the entire grid. But anyway, Caleb White very much under pressure from Rajuel. Let's see if we can get the tire detail up here. Plenty of different tires to choose from. Oh, and that was Haas just about losing his McLaren. Once again, heading out of the final corner, putting down the power into the pit straight. Doing well to keep it out of the barriers, though, as Rajuel is absolutely hustling Caleb White up the hill and into Massenet. So he's going to be picking any opportunity he can to get past that Alfa Romeo because it is certainly just holding him up. He wants to be up with the medium runners up ahead. Starting on the hards, though, he's showing some pretty good pace in the Mercedes. But as we know, very difficult to overtake here in Monaco. Anyone going to be trying it side by side down the hairpin? No, they're slightly smarter than that. That's good to see, although they are starting to get bottled up a little bit behind the Haas of Zadrazil, it looks like. Who's on the soft tire, so maybe not finding much pace there. Interesting to see. As Tuan is right behind Calvi, still trying to chase him down for the lead. They have made themselves quite a large gap to the hard runners behind Caleb White, who started second, is now third and 2 seconds away from the place that he started in. And like I said, getting absolutely hustled by the Mercedes of Rajuel behind him. That's Haas right behind Nader, and that is a pass into Raskas. Although one of them was ghosted, not sure what happened to Bakalik there, might have clipped the wall. Now it's Sam Hussein going to try it around the outside of Sandoval and gets the door slammed in his face. Although, is this going to be a switchback? Did he have a better exit out of turn 1? He's going to be side by side heading up the hill with Swanwick Moore. They're going to be side by side into Massenet, and that is Sam Hussein making an overtake. Very, very nicely done. Great respectful driving between those two. And I'm just looking, do we have any more swappings of positions? Rajwell's still behind Caleb White. As we scroll through, Tuan gets a time penalty for exceeding track limits already, so that must have been once per lap because we're only on lap 3. So that might just come into play at the end of the race if we see some late safety car action, which you never really know. And that was once again Bakulik finding himself getting overtaken. What happened to Swanwick Moore? Was it Moore making the mistake? Because he was just fighting with Hussein, but now he's really backed off. Did he find some damage somewhere? Looks like he still got his end plates, I think. Oh, he's really, really backed off. Not sure what's happening here. Early pit stop for Zadrazil, only 2 laps in on the soft tire. Surely they could go a little longer than that. But... oh, front wing damage. Okay, I was wondering why the long pit stop, but front wing damage for Zadrazil. So very unfortunate for him. See if he can jump up to the... back up to the rear of the field on the new tires. Although... only taken... oh, Zadrazil has lost it in turn 1. Coming out of the pit lane, it looks like, and we are under a VSC. So that'll at least keep the lead between the first 2 drivers of Calvi and Tuan. I'm sure Caleb White would really love a full safety car right about now, as would maybe some of the drivers in the rear, like Moore and Bakulik, wanting to catch back up. Wondering if we're going to see any VSC gamesmanship with the Delta. Well, this is a pretty long VSC. Bad Cali right up behind Rajuel. Wants to be there when the VSC is called in. Hope he can get a better launch and jump himself up into P4. Heading through the hairpin, really hustling the Mercedes. And drive-through penalties for a couple of drivers. That's what I was waiting for. For Tuan, Caleb White, and that is just a 3-second for Moore. But P2 and 3 just got themselves a drive-through penalty for speeding under VSC. That is very unfortunate. As we all know, the Delta can sometimes just absolutely drop through some corner, and then, well, there's nothing you can really do about that. Zadrazil locked his fronts on pit exit and straight line Sandoval. Unfortunate. Certainly not the first person ever to do that. As Tuan decides to stay out with his drive-through, Caleb White in. DRS enabled down the pit straight, although it's pretty difficult to make an overtake into turn 1, honestly. It's going to be one of the best places to do it, aside from the Nouvelle Chicane. Just seeing Hussein getting right up the rear of that Mercedes up ahead. Getting through Massenet and Casino. Really just have to bide your time as a driver behind another one. Just wait for them to make a mistake. Pick out an opportunity. Shows his nose down the inside, does Hussein. Makes the Mercedes think. Gives him a little tap on the rear. Makes him know he's there. But certainly too far back to make a dive down the inside into the chicane. So Hussein just has to wait that little bit longer. So now Rajuel has inherited pretty much net P2 after Tuan takes his drive-through penalties. He's doing right now. So things going well for Rajuel today, as that was a slide of the rear from Nider, trying to apply the power on the final corner down the pit straight. So now Calvi has a 5-second gap between himself and second place, which is fairly ideal in Monaco, as he certainly doesn't want to be undercut or overcut or any cut. So he has plenty of a gap to play with, although Bad Cali is still right on the rear of Rajwell, so these two might just be racing each other pretty hard and extending that gap further up to P1. Bad Cali being very brave. Very, very brave to stay that close behind Rajwell, giving him plenty of trust into the braking zones, but just got a little too eager on the throttle pedal, heading into the tunnel. So that loses him just a little bit of time. He's probably going to claw that back and get himself right up behind the Mercedes as we saw before. See what's going on between Rudd and Hussein. Rudd starting on the soft tires. Has he been able to make any inroads? I wonder. Yeah, 2 places up on the soft tires, but that is 2 players with drive-through penalties ahead of him, so maybe the soft tire not quite working as well as he would want, and Hussein holding a gear behind him so as to not run up the gearbox of the Alfa Romeo, and that is a switchback for the ages. Sam Hussein gets that position with style. Knew that he wouldn't be able to get it under braking, made Rudd go deep into turn 1 with the inside line, takes a position on the exit. That has my seal of approval. I love me a good switchback, and that was a great one. Still have this nice train behind Rajwell, going down to Lestauskas in P6. Sam Hussein kind of finding himself out in no man's land now, not really near anyone after making that overtake. And Rudd now holding up the Mercedes of Cullen and the Alpine of Tuan, who really wants to be making up some positions after that drive-through. And there's a penalty for Moore, so I think he's on 6 seconds now, if I remember rightly. Hop on board with Tuan for just a little bit, see how this fight progresses. We've got Rudd holding up the Mercedes of Cullen and Tuan as well. Oh, and that was a good time to switch to Tuan as he gets a little late into the braking zone for Mirabeau. Rear ends the Mercedes. I don't think that's going to be damage for the Mercedes. Is that front wing damage for Tuan? Oh, yes, it is. He is missing an end plate. So that is Tuan's day going from bad to worse, as he finds himself probably having to take another stop here. As front wing downforce is very crucial here in Monaco, and you can already see the amount of time that Tuan is losing to these two up ahead, so unfortunate day for Tuan so far. And we have the fight behind Bad Cali. Nader's right behind him. Hawes is there. Lestauskas still there as well. And, oh, I just want to see, is that going to be Cullen making a move into turn 1? Very, very close, but not quite close enough to make it side by side. Rudd still goes a little bit deep into turn 1. Not quite a switchback, but I think the Mercedes is going to have this one done with a better exit out of Sandoval. That is Cullen up into P8. Sam Hussein flying right about now, taking a second lap out the train behind Rajwell. Oh, yes, he is. Look at that. Said he was in no man's land. No one really around him. He's just about, yeah, he's in the DRS of Lestauskas. He's within that second, so very nicely pointed out. Zeke, thank you for that. So he is making up plenty of time. And then comes the pit strategies. That's usually where it's won and lost in Monaco. Overcut, undercut. What is the strategy? Gap from first to second still around 6 seconds. So Calvi and Rajwell just kind of maintaining that for now. Although, what happened to Bad Cali? Rajwell started to get away, hasn't he? What's happened here? Has he just dumped all of his battery? Can we take a quick look at the telemetry? No, he's still got plenty left. Interesting. I assume if it was a mistake for Bad Kelly that Niter would have been through. How interesting. Anyway, that does leave Bad Kelly a little vulnerable, as he's now leading this train. And it looks like he himself is trying to get away as well, so as to cut down on that vulnerability. He is over a second away from Nader. Tunnel's not a DRS zone, is it? Nope, just down the pit straight is our DRS zone. Hop on with Hussein. Lucas Rudd did get rid of those soft tires, so he is rejoined in 11th, right ahead of his teammate. Tuan heads up the rear now, as Rajuel is the first one into the pit lane. Starting on the hards, and the first one in on strategy. Interesting, interesting. So he's looking for probably a bit of an undercut. Maybe... Oh, did he get some wing damage as well? Because that was a long pit stop as well. DRS in the tunnel happened once and there was like 3 crashes, so they scrapped it. Yeah, that would make sense. Taking away the rear downforce through the tunnel. Probably not a great idea. But yeah, here's the strategy call from Rajuel. Early pit stop. So, I don't know if he's going to make much of an inroad into Calvi, but is he just thinking that he needs to get away from Bad Cali behind him? Might be the thinking there, and that might just be really good thinking, honestly. But Bad Cali is extending the lead over Nader. Team is DRS through 130R. Yeah, that is, that would be pretty scary. So now it's Yan going to be under pressure from the train behind him. Hawes going to be leading the charge up to P3. Lestauskas behind. Sam Hussein, who's been doing very well. Still with this group and plenty of battery as well, so... a little faster in the braking through Raskas. Maybe a little bit of a heart and mouth moment for those drivers involved. And now I'm seeing Rudd has caught the rear of Swanwick Moore, has the new tires. So he's going to be hustling that Williams and getting held up for as long as he doesn't pit. And ghosting there happening, but I don't really think Rudd needed it, as he's through in the final corner. Nice overtake there. What's happened? Backlick's lost it through the exit of Sandoval, and he's lost his front wing. This isn't bringing out any safety car or virtual safety car, and he's trying his best to stay out of everyone's way heading up the hill. It's difficult to do when there's really only one lane. So the 2 Alfa Romeos released from behind Moore, who is now going to be going side by side with Tuan, and Tuan making it very easy into Mirabeau. Nicely done from the Alpine driver, up into P11 now. And we still have this train from P3 to P6. And Backlick, unfortunately, probably just couldn't brake for the chicane as he gets himself a time penalty for track limits. Very unfortunate. He's going to be boxing for a new front wing, and he's going to... well, he's already in last, and he's going to come out just ahead of his teammate. We'll say that. Moore's in the pit lane. That one's actually on strategy, I do believe. Backlick in for a new front wing as well. Everyone just holding station, biding their time behind Niter. Ooh, although that was a little slide over the curb for Sam Hussein. That was the 2 Mercedes swapping positions. Rajuel up into P7 now. On different strategies, so good strategy call between Rajuel and the newcomer in the Mercedes, who's having a very nice race, I have to say. No real incidents to report. So it is a very good debut so far. We are watching the battle for P3. As Rajwell is setting fastest laps as Nader has put himself into the wall, just barely clipped it on the inside. So now Hawes is through. Listowskis is trying to make his way through into Mirabeau as well. Can't find it. So is Nader down one position and probably feeling a little... what is the word I am looking for? Unconfident. After that little mistake. And Hawes already starting to pull out a gap. Nader taking the inside line very weirdly through the chicane as well. So, yeah, maybe not feeling too confident right now. And he's hit the curb, too. That's not quite the right line through the first swimming pool section, I don't believe. So, interesting there. Is he going to be in for new tires? Yes, he is. You could see that coming, I feel like. So what's it going to be for him? Hards to the end, I would assume. Or does he want a short stint on softs? It's going to be hards to the end for Yan and a new front wing. Okay, so that was what was happening. Interesting. Alright then. Tuan right behind Caleb White heading into turn 1. Trying to make up some positions as the Alpine driver, and it looks like he's got some pace on Caleb White ahead of him. He's used a lot of battery to push up to the rear of this Alfa Romeo, and needs to find a way past. We've seen those moves into turn 1, those wonderful little switchbacks. So maybe that's what Tuan is going to be looking for. He had a very nice line coming out of Portier, but I don't think that's going to be enough to make a position. Just keeping close to the Alfa Romeo, burning some battery to keep himself right up behind. Really need to be, as a driver, on the gearbox of the car ahead through the pit straight in order to make that move into turn 1. And that's a slight mistake for Caleb White that might just be costing him, as he had a little snap of the rear heading through Rascasse. Now it's DRS for Tuan, and I'm sure Caleb White burning all of his battery in defense, able to hold on to that position. Just a clip of the wall there for Tuan. Worth mentioning that the gap between Rajwell and the P3 train, shall we call it, is coming down rather considerably, as there is a yellow flag as Hawes has found himself facing the wrong direction in the chicane. What has happened to Hawes? Was part of that P3 fight, and now, well, what route? Let's see here. Who really is part of this P3 fight? Okay, where did Listowskis come? Oh no, he was there the whole time. That's right. Just trying to remember the story of the race so far. Yeah, Bad Kelly was able to make a huge gap. Hawes is in. This is about the time that the medium runners would want to be in anyway, I would assume. Swanwick Moore has retired from the session. We have a full safety car. Swanwick Moore has gone wide coming out of Mirabeau. Or, Portier, excuse me. You know, he's hit the wall on the left. Virtual safety car once again. Stricken car on the racing line. Virtual safety car, not full. Interesting to see, but we're seeing some people take advantage of that. So we saw Hawes was in. The other Mercedes of Cullen was in. Caleb White's just coming out of the pit lane. Becklick's heading through the swimming pool section right now. Anyone else going to be taking advantage of this? Yep, here we go. Calvi into the pit lane, has a virtual safety car, and quite a gap between himself and Bad Cali, who I believe is going to be into the pit lane as well. And I would assume, even if there's only a little bit of virtual safety car left, they're still going to be gaining time if Listauskas and Hussein pit right now, which they are both doing. Seems like everyone's crossing the solid yellow line heading into the pit lane, so I wonder if the stewards are going to care about that one. Because I don't really think I've seen anyone keep to the right of the dashed line heading into the pit lane, so worth mentioning. Virtual safety car is in as these two are coming out of the pit lane. So how does this shake up the order? Well, honestly, I really don't think it did a whole lot. Calvi still leads from Bag Cali, has a 4-second gap between those two. Rajuel in the third, but 7-lap old mediums might come under pressure from Listauskas at some point, but Listauskas does have 11.5 seconds to make up on Rajuel. Did you read the race briefing? Yeah, I remember you saying that it might be a yellow line instead of a white one, and don't go side by side into corners with one line. So yeah, I definitely read the briefing. Didn't memorize it though. But we're all good. So, Sam Hussein chasing down Listauskas still. Now it is mediums versus hards instead of hards versus mediums. 19 laps left to go. Did you read the first part? Definitely. Don't remember what it said though, but I read it. Probably says race briefing for Monaco at F1, at F2, at F3. That's my guess. Why don't we take a little look-see, in fact. If I take out my handy-dandy cellular phone, and I can find the race briefing channel. Race briefings, here we go. No pit entry rules. Okay. Except if someone is up here inside. So don't be stupid. Alright. Stewards will not care about that one. That's what I was wondering about. Because everyone was doing it. What about the second line? Man, I just closed my phone. Second line. Second line. Let's see here. Rule 2, you mean? If you are on track, don't rear-end anyone leaving the pits. Well, yeah, I sure hope that doesn't happen. Anyway, we are watching the action on track. Sam Hussein still right behind Vilius Listauskas, fighting it out for P4. Rajuel up ahead. Positions 1, 2, and 3 have a nice gap between themselves. Niter and Tuan are going to be fighting it out. Yan has some fresher tires and no penalties. So this might be a position at the end of the race for Yan. Although all things considered, Tuan still staying in the points after the rough race that he's had is an accomplishment on its own. Who is that ahead? That is the Haas of Backlick up ahead, so that is not a car in the way for position. Hopefully getting out of the way when the blue flags are shown. Although he has new soft tires, so he might be pulling away from these two. Alright then. Well, look who has joined the battle here. Pause in the McLaren has caught up to the the Aston Martin of Jan Niter. And they're going to be fighting it out for P8. I think the gap was around a second when I was looking at it. But it is considerably dropped, shall we say. So we've got a couple battles to watch out on track here. Backlick unable to make a gap between himself and a medium and a hard runner. So he's getting blue flagged now, and he should probably get out of the way soon. Sooner rather than later. Even though he's ghosted. Probably get out, well, he doesn't really mind. I take it. Well, Bakalik is giving DRS to... Oh! Bakalik has straight line Sandoval and brings out the virtual safety car for the third time. No safety cars, 3 VSCs. I don't know how that works, but here we are. Yeah. You know, soft tires really just don't have that much grip sometimes, you know? They're a pretty not grippy tire. Anyway, virtual safety car number 3. Which I think is good for Rajuel, because he's certainly not going to be pulling up to the rear of Bagcali to take his position. So this puts a little bit of a damper on the charge between Lestauskas and Hussein. How about these 3? I want to see some Delta gamesmanship going on. Is anyone going to try and take advantage of this? Let's see, 2.5.3. Once given blue flags, driver must make way for approaching lapping vehicles by pulling off the racing line. You know what? Bakalik did do that. He did pull off the racing line. That is true. So he's all good. VSC is over. Rajuel is coming out of the pit lane after that VSC, and Hawes, I believe, made the call to come in under VSC and made it a little late, although he has a new front wing prepared. No visible damage on the old one. So this drops Rajuel from 3rd down to 6th, so he will have to make up 3 positions on track in order to justify this pit stop. First off is Rudd on 13-lap old medium tires, who I think will probably be dispatched fairly easily. He tries it up the inside of the main hairpin. Doesn't quite make it stick there. And he's going to be hustling the Alfa Romeo all the way down to the Nouvelle chicane. He's going to have a much better exit out of Portier, although it is very difficult to make a move here. Defending the inside line is Lucas Rudd. Rajuel tries to make his way through, but as we know, it's a little difficult to make an overtake in Monaco. Rudd is racing his little heart out, trying his best to keep the Mercedes behind him, but it's just not working, and Rudd into the pit lane. Interesting. So after all that, Rajuel gets held up and kind of drops into the clutches of Tuan, although I think Rajuel is going to be pulling away from that. Now has 12 seconds to gain on Sam Hussein. Needs to pass both him and Lestauskas to get that 3rd position back. I doubt these 2 are going to be making another pit stop, so I don't know if that stop under the VSC was the right call for Rajuel, but it'll give us some pretty good action. Well, all things considered, the race has finally just about settled down. Of course, no safety cars will do that. A Bagcali's into the pit lane. What has happened to him? Did he break his front wing, I wonder, because he's only got 7 laps on his hards. It's got to be a stop for a front wing. That was some weird what in the world? Okay, so that's a very strange call for a pit stop. And that is also some very strange... Uh-huh. What am I watching here? Something doesn't quite seem right. Anyway, Lostowskis and Sam Hussein are now fighting it out for second place. Huh? Wait, how did Kelly get a track limits penalty through the hair? Did he cut the hairpin? That... Huh. Maybe because there was a good gap behind. Yeah. Well, I'm a little lost, honestly. Kelly had a gap behind himself, but I don't think he's going to be able to pass Hussein and Lostowskis to justify that. He wasn't really coming under pressure from them either. Now he's got himself a time penalty and a 7-second gap to make up and 2 positions. I would really like to know what his thought process is. I thought maybe he disconnected and his AI pitted him, but AIs generally don't get themselves track limits penalties. Does he have 6 seconds now or only 3? Pretty sure it's only 3. Yep, just 3. Oh, where am I? Tire. There we go. Okay. Well, I'd like to see where could you possibly get a track limits penalty here. Is that curb on the left wide enough for an F1 car to completely go over with all 4 tires? I'm a bit speechless. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a little speechless. Maybe he had some front wing damage and didn't set it to change the front wing. And his team just let him go. And now he doesn't want to make another pit stop, and that's why he's also got a penalty. Because he can't quite control the car. That is going to be my guess. He's going in AI mode through the corners. Not through this one, though. Oof. Well, anyway, something major has happened to him. Can we just say that the gap between Calvi and Lostowskis, between P1 and P2, is almost 17 seconds? Because that's pretty cool. Roger Wells just got past Bad Kelly, who goes into the pit lane again. Now is it going to be a front wing change? Yes. Okay, so I might have been correct about that. He wanted to change his front wing, but the game still had it on auto. Once you come into the pit lane, you can't even change it to, like, confirm yes. So, yep. We love this game and its great mechanics and whatnot. Hawes has the door slammed in his face from Rudd. Tries to focus on the exit. Probably got a little track limits warning there. Wants to make it past the Alfa Romeo, but these cars are just too wide. I am of the opinion that Monaco is not suitable for Formula 1, and I think what you just saw is a good example as to why that is. It is a unique challenge. That doesn't mean it's a good one. Alright, so after all that, where's Bad Cali? He's in P7, new soft tires, and needs to make a second gap to keep that P7 with his penalty. Has some old hard tire runners up ahead of him, so maybe trying to push for some positions because new softs versus old hards. That, yeah, I mean, well, it was just under 3 seconds of a gap between... Oh, what has happened here? Lucas Rudd is into the pit lane. What is this for? 4-lap old medium tires. Is this another front wing change, I wonder? Yes, it is. Wow. Oh, yeah, he's absolutely obliterated the right side of his front wing. Okay. New hard tires for Rudd for 9 laps, so maybe no new softs left, and Bad Cali is now past Cullen, heading into Mirabeau. I'm sure that was a great overtake. I really should have switched to him. Anyway, good job from him. Now he needs to make a 3-second gap to keep that, and he's already a third of the way there after a couple of corners. Has a 4-second gap to Nader ahead of him. And Lestauskas is still ahead of Sam Hussein, although Hussein is probably not wanting for that to be the case for much longer. Haas gets himself a time penalty. Where is he right now? P8. So that would not drop him any positions as it stands, because Tuan also has a track limits penalty. How many positions has Hussein made up now? 11! At Monaco! 11 positions. Imagine that! He's been doing a good job, I have to say. He's been fighting it out with everyone. Been taking advantage of everything. Pause into the pit lane now for new soft tires and probably a front wing. This is a very interesting ending to the race here. 8 laps left to go. As Calvi is going to be lapping his teammate. Generally not what you want to see happen. As, ooh, side by side out of the pit exit is Lucas Rudd keeping that position over Haas. Oh, it is new hard tires versus new soft tires. I wonder who is going to come out on top of this one. Of course, new tires are always going to feel pretty good no matter what compound they are, so... Why are they getting ghosted? Are they getting lapped? No, I think they're just getting close to Calvi up ahead, so it's ghosting them. Although, Haas is really hustling the Alfa Romeo through Portier. Down to the Nouvelle chicane they go. Maybe a little late on the brakes was Haas. Still got eyes on this battle. Just checking in on them, making sure everything's still okay. Now Haas giving it everything down into turn 1. Boy, really not finding much straight line speed over a car without DRS or slipstream. Although Rudd is being ghosted right now, I think Haas is not going to want to take advantage of that. Oh, what has happened? Did he hit the wall on the left, or was that just a bit of lag? Probably a bit of both. He might have clipped the wall on the left. But, oh, goodness. Well, Rudd wasn't ghosted. He certainly looked ghosted to me. That's why I usually don't try to drive through people. And that is Haas -1 more front wing, unfortunately for him. Really strange time that we find ourselves. What is going on here? They're not ghosting to each other, they're ghosted to Calvi because they're a lap down. Yes. Would they appear ghosted on each other's screens, I wonder? Is that... Or are you globally ghosted, or can you be ghosted to one person? I don't know. That's why I'm asking the question. And now Haas is into the pit lane because he's lost his front wing. Unlucky. So now we go back to the main battle of the race out on track. Lestauskas versus Hussein. Tuan making a position out of, or probably through the tunnel. Nicely done, if that's the case. They won't be. They're ghosted to cars on different laps. Only spectators are deemed to be on the lead a lap. Okay, so that was not Haas trying to drive through a ghosted car. That was Haas probably accidentally ramming into the rear of Rudd. Okay, thank you for clearing that up. What happened here? Quick yellow flag between Tuan and Cullen. I saw them swap positions for just a moment before that. Is there a bit of contact between the two? Was Cullen having a good run down the pit straight? If that's the case, I unfortunately missed that one. Because we are still watching this battle. Because I really want something to happen here. 4 laps left to go. Still Listauskas from Hussein. Still medium versus soft. Same tire age. I'm sure if we ask Hussein to draw the rear end of a Williams car at the end of this race by memory, he would be able to do a very, very good job, because he has been sitting here behind Listauskas for pretty much the entire race. And credit to these two, they really haven't been making mistakes or destroying each other, which is good. That's what we like to see. I think that is an Alfa Romeo up ahead, unlapping himself. Yes, it is. That must be Lucas Rudd. O'Calvey right now probably doesn't really care about what the lapped cars are doing because he has about a 14-second gap to Listauskas in P2. Haas now sets the fastest lap on those new soft tires. Rajoel gets a track limits penalty. Although that isn't going to affect him at all. Oh, is that Listauskas just a bit wide through the hairpin? I think it was, but Hussein not quite able to take advantage of anything there. As the track limits penalties are starting to pile up, why don't we take a quick look? Everyone who has a penalty has 3 seconds. I think that was Listauskas really going over the curb there on the right of the first swimming pool chicane. Now Hussein is right up behind that Williams. Is he going to be going for it here into turn 1? He's certainly going to try, but the straight is generally just not quite long enough to get a car up side by side. And he gets a 3-second time penalty for his troubles. So that really puts a bit of a capper on that battle there. So then, who do we want to watch? Jan and Tuan heading through into the swimming pool section now. Jan on 20-lap old hard tires. Sure, those are not feeling very good right now. So if Tuan gets past him, he needs to finish within 8 seconds, and Tuan has quite a bit of a pace advantage, although he just clipped his rear right on the wall of Raskas. So that is another lap that Jan can survive. Just needs to hold up Tuan as much as possible, so that if Tuan gets past, he does not lead by 3 seconds. So Jan can keep that P6. We were wondering if we would have more than 5 drivers finish today, and I can say that we most certainly probably will, unless someone calls in an airstrike on Monaco in the final few laps. That was Tuan without a front wing end plate. I was just seeing that. We'll take another look off board real quick because he is missing part of his front wing, and I'm sure that's going to be dampening his charge up into P6. Alright then, why don't we take a ride on board with our pole sitter and about to be race winner as he crosses the line to start lap 39 of 39, heads it up through Sandoval. up the hill through Beau Rivage. Now into Massenet, late apex left-hander. Into the right of Casino. And into the downhill right-hander hairpin of Mirabeau, and then the very tight, very famous Casino hairpin. Sam Hussein does get past Listowskis, somehow. Using a lapped car, it looks like. But Calvi leads us out of Poirier through the tunnel. Downhill braking into the Nouvelle chicane. Now into the left of Tabac. Through the first swimming pool section. Then through the actual swimming pool chicane. P2, yeah, I know, but they've got penalties. So Hussein gets past on track, but he won't get past on penalties. That's why I wasn't looking at them. Oh, I thought he was losing his McLaren, but Joe Calvi having a bit of a celebrate as he crosses the line to win in Monaco by over 12 seconds. It's going to be Sam Hussein crossing the line next. Not quite sure what happened to Listowskis. Actually, is that going to be for position? No, it's not. Listowskis just beats him out by half of a tenth of a second. So that's kind of unfortunate for Hussein, but anyway, good effort from him up into P3. Rajawal had a great race as well, finishing P4, and it's going to be Bad Kelly. Such a huge gap between all of our cars today without a, a safety car. And Bad Kelly just about threw it into the wall, into Raskas, but managed to stop his AlphaTauri in time and crosses the line in P5. Then it's Yan and Twan, P6 and 7 for them two. Our debutant of Cullen in the Mercedes, driving very nicely and cleanly indeed, nursing those hard tires through 22 laps of Monaco, finishing P8 ahead of Caleb White. Lucas Rudd behind them has recently lost his front wing and will round out the top 10 in the points. Hawes did not have the greatest of races today, unfortunately. Finishes P11. Did he still have the fastest lap of the race? I think it's still a point if you're outside of the top 10 in this league. Sam Hussein getting driver of the day. I don't think I would vote for anybody else. That was a very, very good race from him. And Joe Calvi knows how to fly. That is incredible. Maybe he was just levitating his car over all of the walls and barriers today, and that's why he was able to win today. But anyway, we watch them spray the champagne. Oh, they'll pretend to. I assume it's because I have particles off, because it's really annoying seeing people lock up every single corner. But, anyway, a win from pole from Joe Calvi. Listowskis coming home P2 from 7th. Sam Hussein starting P14, finishing in 3rd very, very nicely indeed. Just lost out in P2 by 0.05 of a second. All right. Rajuel P4, Bad Kelly P5, Jan Nader P6, up ahead of Tuan, who had a very rough race today, unfortunately for him. Cullen P8, 9th for Caleb White, 10th for Rudd, and 11th for Hawes with that fastest lap. We'll go through the race director because I forgot to last time, and someone asked for it, and I didn't have it, so there we go. Plenty of incidents, plenty of quarter cutting, many front wing changes. Smoking champagne, same thing, right? Yeah, I suppose. Anyway, that'll do it for us. Surprisingly, a somewhat exciting Monaco Grand Prix, which is more than I can say for real F1, so maybe GRS just absolutely clears. But anyway, that will do it for us today. What do we have next? What's next in the calendar? I always like to take a look at that. Let's see here. GRS after... It is Silverstone. Silverstone next week. Everyone loves Silverstone. So that'll be a very exciting race. It always is. We will see you next week. Same time, same channel, same tier, all that fun stuff. Tune in on Wednesday at Yeah, I don't know what time it is in Europe, but it's 2 p.m. Eastern for all of the Americans watching for F1. So you can definitely see me win in Monaco. That'll certainly happen. We will see you next time. Thank you. 7 p.m. UK. Yes, that is true. I can't remember. Some leagues use UK time. Some leagues use like a Central European time. I never remember which is which. 7 p.m. UK. There we go. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.